This episode of Brains on Games is about the most beautiful chess set I've ever seen. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald. In this episode, we are going to talk about a gorgeous chess set from the folks over at Maztermind Games. Now, this is a company out of Vietnam that creates these handcrafted versions of classic board games, and I've talked about some of their games before, but this is probably the fanciest game that I have ever seen. Their version of chess is from their signature collection, which is all about, well, really creating board games that are beautiful pieces of art as well. So let's take a look at Chess by Maztermind Games. So they've got the classic Maztermind super minimalist black box with the Maztermind logo embossed on it. Of course, chess is a two-player game. Pretty much anybody 6 and older can start to learn how to play chess, and games play in about 10 minutes to an hour, depending on the skill levels of the players involved. But let me show you this beautiful chessboard. This box is one that's held closed by a magnetic clasp, and when you open things up, you can see that the box opens up a little bit to make it easy to grab the board and pull it out of the box. Now, when you receive this game, when I got this game in the mail, it was wrapped in paper inside this box, but I wanted to be able to open this up and show you the board right away. Let me pull this thing out. We'll take a look at the board and the pieces. And here you have it, the Maztermind signature premium chess set. We've got this walnut board and box that holds all of the pieces, and the playing surface is leather surrounded by, I think this is copper around the outside. When you lift off the top, and I can't even really convey to you how, like, this is super smooth, this board. Then you've got the pieces inside. Now I've put it came with some silica gel packs to keep everything dry, but even the foam in here is very heavy foam. And then you've got these pieces. These are concrete and resin pieces that are smooth to the touch. They have some weight to them with this little brass plug at the bottom, and they make a nice clicking sound when you put them on those leather squares on the board. Of course, I'm not going to show you how to play chess. It's a 600-year-old game, so it's easy to find lots of folks who will teach you how to play. But, I mean, the chess, of course, is a medium to heavyweight abstract strategy game. What you're trying to do is capture your opponent's king. And the Maztermind pieces are sort of minimalist, I would say. They've got, like I said, a nice weight to them with that metal base, but you can tell what they're supposed to be. They look like classic, they're sort of modern versions of the classic chess pieces, so it's easy to recognize them. Now, here's the thing. I had to double check to make sure I had this board set up correctly with I double checked on chess.com, I'll be honest with you, because I'm not a chess player. When I was in high school, I was playing more tabletop games. In university, everyone was playing card games, and I joined in with cribbage and hearts and things like that. We've talked about those before. When my kids were born, we played some other kinds of games that had fancy pieces and miniatures. They played some chess with their grandfather, my father-in-law, and the sets that they had were like Super Mario chess and Transformers chess. So I played a game or two of chess, but I will be honest, in the past couple of weeks since I've received this board, I've been kind of practicing and trying to learn how to play this game. So I apologize that I'm not the best chess player, but I'm not going to talk about how to play the game. This is more about these pieces. So you're trying to capture your opponent's king. That's the piece that has a little cross on the top here. And I've set the board up correctly because I did double check that. Chess is a game where you're really thinking and planning ahead as you move these pieces on the board. I don't know if you'll be able to hear if I move this. The sound that it makes when you move the pieces is quite satisfying, I would say. Since I received this game, I've had chess players come over to the house because they wanted to see it. I sent them a picture to say, look at this beautiful thing that I received from Maztermind, and everybody wanted to come over to take a look. So I've managed to play a few games with the chess experts in my life, and let me be honest with you. I've been doing this. I've been creating these videos for 3 years, and I've been playing board games for years before that. My father-in-law has never sat down with me to play a game of anything, but I knew he liked chess, and he did sit down and help me to learn how to play chess. So for the first time since I met my father-in-law, we sat down together and played a board game, which for me was fantastic. And all of the expert players agreed that this is a fantastic set. It's not huge, which is perfect for me. I suspect that if you're playing in a tournament, the boards are probably bigger, but it's very satisfying to play a game that looks this great, that feels this great, with pieces that have some weight to them. And of course, it's a classic game, so I was quite excited to learn how to play, and especially excited because I was able to play with family. The skills that you're working on when you play chess, any version of chess, whether it's Super Mario chess or this super fancy one, any version of chess involves spatial skills, your visual spatial problem solving abilities. You're puzzling out how these pieces are going to move and what will happen if you put a piece in a particular location. There's some visual memory involved with chess as well, because if you become good at the game, or if you want to be really competitive at the game, you're likely learning traditional opening moves, and there are strategies that you sort of memorize when you play a game of chess, when you get good at it. I don't know any of those, and in fact, the first move that I played against a friend of mine who studied the history of chess, he said, "Oh, that's a non-traditional move," and I said, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing." So, but it is a game that you could be practicing those visual memory skills, because you could memorize those classic opening moves in the game. And of course, you need to plan ahead. A big part of what you're doing in these kinds of abstract spatial games, you're trying to trap your opponent's piece, and you have to plan ahead to do that. You might be trying to do that in a way that tricks him or fools him so that he doesn't know what it is that you're planning, but you are trying to trap your opponent's king and make sure that he can't escape, while at the same time protecting your own pieces. If you are planning ahead, if you are trying to tackle things in an organized way, if you're juggling a lot of information because you're thinking about, if I move this piece, then that piece will be vulnerable to this one, and then I'll be able to take the piece that takes that one, and I'm protecting this piece with that other. You are juggling a lot of information, and when you're invoking that whiteboard in your mind where you keep information so that you can work with it, that's a working memory skill. And planning and budgeting and tackling things in an organized way and using judgment about which movement is the best, and those working memory skills all are examples of executive functioning skills, including the ability to shift your strategy if it's not working. Shifting from one strategy to another is an executive functioning skill as well. So like all of those strategy games, we are talking about executive functioning in terms of planning ahead. It's sort of strange for me to give you final thoughts about chess. I can't really give you final thoughts about chess. Chess is a classic. There's a reason why it's a classic. I'm not reviewing the game of chess. What we're talking about here is this particular chess set, and it really is a work of art. I was super excited to take it out of the box. I was super excited to play it with my friends and my family. It's the tactile experience of this game is one that I can't convey in a video, but this is a beautiful board and made with walnut and brass and leather. I feel like my kids are going to inherit this thing in the future. This is one that's going to sit on my game table. I'm lucky enough I have a little extension on the end of the game table. It's sort of shaped like an L, and this board is the perfect size to go on the smaller part of that L. So while we're playing other games, everyone's going to see this chessboard, and hopefully I'll suck them into playing some chess as well. So it really is a work of art. It's a decoration, a piece of furniture, really, when you think about it, because that's where it's going to sit, as if it were a decoration for the house. It's probably the most beautiful game I own. I do have a couple of handcrafted boards. Of course, I've gotten prototypes that were kind of made by hand. My Crokinole board Crokinole is one of my favorite games of all time. It's not as absolutely gorgeous as this game is, however, I have to confess. As I said earlier, the pieces are fantastic. They're super smooth, but I like that they're that modern take on the classic chess pieces. When I used to play Transformers chess, I suppose Optimus Prime was probably the king, but was Bumblebee supposed to be a rook or a knight? You had to kind of think about which piece was which and count how many were on the board to remember. I don't even remember what Bumblebee was in that game, but these are clearly recognizable to anyone who's played chess before. I'll hold it up under the smaller camera here too. So I really do like that it's kind of a modern take, a minimalistic take, but the pieces are super easy to recognize, and the materials they're made from have just enough weight to make them fun to hold and move around the board. You've got to think of this thing as a piece of decor, as a piece of furniture that you can play with, because it's not just a board game. And it is so fancy and beautiful and wonderful to touch that people were coming to my house to see it, and it encouraged my father-in-law to play a game with me for the very first time. So I can't say enough good things about this game. If there's a downside to the Signature Series here, it is a handmade game. It's a premium game. There's no question about it. And that doesn't come cheap. Every every penny you pay for this game, you can see where it's going, because it is such a beautiful piece of art, but it is not inexpensive. But I suppose you could get from point A to point B in a Ford or a Ferrari. One is going to be more beautiful, maybe, and more fun than the other. And that, in a nutshell, is the chess board from the Signature Series from Maztermind Games. Thanks so much to Maztermind for sending this game my way. It's been such a joy to open this up and play with it. And it's going to look great on my table, like I said. I can't wait to play my next game of chess, and hopefully my father-in-law will pop by and see if my skills have improved since he initially showed me how to play the game. So thanks once again to Maztermind for sending this game my way. If you have any questions or comments, of course you can leave them in the comment section below the video, or you can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go. The previous ones are up there already. Brains on Games is the Twitter handle and the Facebook page and the Instagram feed. So we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.